coming up 60 years on and it's still scaring us all. This is Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Wee, 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 wee. Oh, here we go. Oh! Hello there and welcome to the Enigmatic Productions channel. I'm Edward Harvey and today we've got a special 60th anniversary of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Here we go, right off the bat, that music stabs in there and the graphics slice across the screen. You know you're in for a treat when as soon as that happens, you're like, come on, Psycho! Then the first sequence of the movie, it kind of gives that whole peeping Tom kind of vibe, getting closer and closer. You're just creeping in like you're a fly on the wall, just like perving almost. This is a very risque scene for 1960 as well. This is the granddaddy slasher movie in my opinion. There wasn't really anything like this. The studio just didn't want anything to do with it. Alfred Hitchcock had to make it by himself, fund it by himself.
Marion, what in the world? What are you doing up here?
This is a great shot. This sort of paranoia about and this sort of anxiety of what she's about to do. This is a normal woman that's never done anything like this before. And she just has this snap decision, which we could all have if we just had that opportunity. Oh, her boss has seen her. Those strings, those galloping strings creep in again. Really gives you that sense of panic. So the film's based on the 1959 novel of the same name by Robert Bloch. It follows pretty closely to the novel. There's some changes made, like for example, Norman in the book is basically like an overweight guy and he's into like the occult, and he's basically not very sympathetic. So Hitchcock's main thing that he wanted to change was introduce Norman as like a kind of a likable character, so you get that contrast of the two personalities. And here we are out of the stormy rain, the glowing sign of Bates Motel appears and it begins. And apparently Hitchcock didn't even like what he was seeing. He was constantly re-editing it, constantly just not happy with it until he started to see it with the score, and he just thanked Bernard Herrmann so much for just finishing off the film and making it perfect. And that's the power of a good score. First movie ever to show a toilet on screen, if you can believe it or not. Just was never done. Ugh. Ugh. Oh god, it gets you every time. Oh, the silhouette is so haunting, and the sound of the knife piercing the flesh is just so disturbing. 1960 as well. Multiple cuts mimicking the stabbing of the blade, just cutting frequently to something else. And let's not forget, you're introduced to this woman as the protagonist, and then she's just killed off halfway through the movie. 50 cuts, and it's only a 3-minute scene. You got 77 camera angles and 50 shots. Now this isn't just a monumental scene in horror, it's a monumental scene in cinema. It is one of the most famous scenes ever put to film. And then you're left with Norman Bates, and Norman Bates becomes your protagonist. But you're kind of not happy with that in a way. You're kind of really disturbed by that, but also fascinated. This is a fantastic shot. The swirling round like the plug hole, the dead eye, really, really freaky. So this scene obviously has that infamous like screeching, stabbing violins that everyone mimics now. When you say Psycho, people go wee, 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 wee. But interestingly enough, Hitchcock didn't want any music for that scene. He wanted just the sounds, which sounds like it would be a good kind of plan, because that can be creepy in a horror film. But it was Bernard Herrmann that actually insisted, let me just compose something, let me just try something and put something to it. And after he agreed, Hitchcock agreed that it really intensifies it, and he almost doubled Bernard Herrmann's salary for that. So it just goes to show how powerful this music is in this film. Here we go. Hello.
Mrs. Bates.
And there it is. Oh. Ah! Norman's face when he's the mother character is just like really, really frightening. It looks like that. So this is why it's a very touchy subject with the film studio. It's like very close to what happened with the actual real murders in real life with Ed Gein. So it's like, it's what they just didn't want anything to do with it. But obviously Hitchcock thought this is great. This is going to be a terrifying picture, and it was.
Let them see what kind of a person I am. I'm not even going to swat that fly. I hope they are watching. They'll see, and they'll know, and they'll say.
And all of a sudden you just see that change, and then it's the mother character, and that evil grin, it just haunts you. You know, that's the last image you get. It's like, it's so haunting.
Why, she wouldn't.
There it is. Just sort of noticed that. I can't believe I've never noticed that before. You see an overlay of the mother's skull in Norman's face, just a few frames. Fantastic. Can't believe I've never noticed. That's the thing, still noticing things like 60 years later. Fantastic. As I said, this film is like the granddaddy slasher movie. It influenced John Carpenter's Halloween, Friday the 13th, all the slasher movies basically. All the movies you think are the sort of the beginning of the slasher movie, they were all inspired by this. John Carpenter is a big example. I mean, John Carpenter's Halloween is one of my favourite films ever, but in order to have that as your favourite film, you have to respect what John Carpenter respected, which is this. He thought it was fantastic, and it really is. So that's really all I want to say about Psycho. 60 years on and it still keeps us screaming. What are your thoughts on Psycho? Let us know in the comments. Right, thanks for watching guys. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like. If you want to see more from us, hit that subscribe. See you next time on Enigmatic Productions.